Part 153. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 1521. Chapter 1521 Conjoined Sugar Babies. When Jian saw her daughter running out crying, she stood up in shock and wanted to chase her. Tanyuj pulled her into his arms and wrapped her tightly in a quilt. He glanced at his son lightly. "How long are you going to stand there, not going to see where your sister is?" Little Mickey opened his mouth slightly, looked at his dad, and then at his sister who ran away. Why did it seem like he was the one who did something wrong? Obviously they are here to see mommy and daddy. "I'm not leaving." Little Mickey actually sat on the ground, crossing his hands on his chest angrily. "Daddy, you have gone too far. You kidnapped mommy and refused to give it to us for a month. Now that we have worked so hard to find her, you still want to occupy her." No wonder Ruru ran away sadly. Having a parent like this, he is so helpless. "Are you and my son done with it? Let me go. I'm going to chase my daughter. What does a 3-year-old child know about her? What should I do if she disappears?" "Don't worry, wife, the children cannot be left behind in my resort," Tanyuj said confidently. "The safety factor of this resort is very high. Children cannot run far. Even if they run out, they will be monitored by surveillance cameras and security personnel will also watch the children. Is there anyone like you who can be a father?" Jian rolled her eyes. He left his arms, stood up wrapped in quilt, and kicked Tanyuj out of bed. The movements were completed in one go, and Tanyuj was kicked naked by her without any mental preparation. Tanyuj did a somersault to prevent himself from falling too ugly, but his whole body was exposed to the air without wearing anything. His son also blinked his big eyes and looked at him, his eyes still full of disgust. "Daddy, you don't have any clothes on. How old are you, Tisk?" Tanyuj touched his head and looked pitifully at his wife who was standing on the bed and staring at him. Sure enough, his son and daughter are superfluous and will only disturb the love between him and his wife. Tanyuj stood up and stood in front of his son without hesitation, staring at the little carrot head with disgust. "You kid can get out then." Regardless of Mickey's resistance, he took his collar and threw him out of the room, and the door was quickly closed and locked. "Honey, the child is gone, let's continue." Tanyuj ran over with a smile and looked at Jian with a treasured look on his face, still waiting for praise. Jian mouth twitched slightly, and she raised her foot and kicked his handsome face. "You are so proud. You made your daughter run away crying and ignore her, and you threw your son out the door, and you are still so proud." Jian threw away the quilt, looked for clothes in the cabinet, and slowly started to get dressed. Tanyuj was unhappy, so he clung to her, hugged her waist, and kissed her on the face. "My wife, keep going. Go on, sister, I'm going to find Ruru." "No." Jian rolled her eyes again, suddenly feeling that the colder Tanyuj was still very handsome. Now the sugar baby has returned to the clingy mode, and there is little that can be done to her. Hand in with 3 children. At this time, there was a sudden knock on the door. Tanyuj thought it was because his son was ignoring him, and then the knock on the door became louder, so loud that it was definitely not something that a child could knock. "Hurry up and open the door." Jian put on her pants and was about to go out, but there happened to be a clingy guy holding her and kissing her, like a conjoined twin who refused to let go. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 1522. Chapter 1522 Tanyuj Staying Power. "Honey, you don't need to pay any attention to it." Tanyuj hugged Jian, buried his head in the back of her neck, smelled her body, and kissed her neck. The moment Tanyuj's words fell, as if to protest what he said, the door opened again. This was kicked open rudely. The locked door was directly kicked into pieces. You can imagine how much force the person who kicked it used. Jin is definitely not the kind of lethality that a child can create. The initiator walked into the room holding the crying Ruru with one hand and holding little Mickey with the other. I saw a picture like this. There was a man who looked evil, naked, hugging a beautiful woman from the back, with his face still buried in the woman's neck. Tisk, Wang Tianyu clicked his tongue and looked at them with disgust. Tanyuj came back to his senses and raised his eyebrows in surprise when he saw Wang Tianyu standing over there. Looking at the children, he immediately understood what happened. The two naughty children were brought here by Wang Tianyu. This brat deliberately brought the children to cause trouble for him. It's just that, he really wants to hit someone now. Brother, what are you doing? Look at your naked butt. Wang Tianyu smiled and glanced boldly at Tanyu's naked body. Ruru, who was crying just now, heard Uncle Wang's words and looked over curiously, and then her eyes were covered by Wang Tianyu. Children, it's better not to look at dirty things, Wang Tianyu joked while suppressing a smile. Hey, daddy's naked butt, so embarrassing. Shameless daddy. Ruru, whose eyes were covered, still saw Tanyu's naked buttocks hugging mommy. Wang Tianyu, take my daughter and get out immediately, otherwise. Tanyuj lowered his voice deliberately and looked at Wang Tianyu dangerously. Qian Yuman, who was being held by Tanyuj, could neither walk nor leave. Just maintain the original posture with Tanyuj. In fact, she wanted to go away, so Tanyuj would have nothing to cover his buttocks, and he would change from being naked to walking around. Wang Tianyu obviously didn't care about Tanyuj's threat. He still acted like a gangster and blocked the door with Tanyu's children. Brother, God bless you, a loud shout came from the door. Wang Tianyu, who was calm a moment ago, changed his expression quickly when he heard the voice. He used his body to block Enyil's follower who was about to break in. He released his hand covering Ruru's eyes and pushed Enyil out of the door. Get out, get out. Brother Tianyu, why did you let me out? Have you found Yuj and the little fairy? There is an eye-catching scene in there, that Tanyuj is walking a bird. Wang Tianyu pushed Enyil angrily. Enyil's eyes lit up when she heard that Tanyuj was walking the bird. Tanyuj was her former boyfriend. She used to think about sleeping with him every day. She didn't expect that she would have the opportunity to see him without clothes today, and she couldn't help but feel a little excited. Get up, open your head and look inside. The moment Tanyuj heard Enyil's voice, he immediately jumped up from his place, lay on the bed, wrapped the quilt around himself, and wrapped himself into a rice dumpling. Fortunately, even if Tanyuj took the opportunity, Enyil, who took the opportunity to sneak in, saw Tanyuj wrapping rice dumplings, with an expression of surviving the disaster on his face. Qian Yuman laughed out loud in shame. Looking at Tanyuj's embarrassed look, she felt very happy. End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1523. Chapter 1523, Show affection and spread dog food. Wife. I actually don't mind your body being looked at by other women. Husband, I don't mind. Tanyuj was so angry at this woman. How could anyone share her husband's body with others as generously as she did without any guilt at all? Qian Yuman raised her eyebrows and smiled. Come. Qian Yuman, this crazy woman, actually pulled Tanyuj's quilt and started to pull hard, trying to tear the quilt off him. How are you, woman? Tanyuj shouted loudly while protecting his quilt. Pull on your quilt. You look miserable hiding in there. I'm trying to help you get out. Get out of bed. Qian Yuman's eyes turned into crescents with laughter, and she was still pulling the quilt hard with her hands. Qian Yuman had a great time, pulling hard. She was definitely not as strong as Tanyuj, but seeing his hair blowing up made her feel very happy. You are so heartless, believe it or not, I will risk everything to catch you and expose your body with me. He was so angry that this woman wanted to take off her clothes and teach her a lesson with her body. Qian Yuman raised her eyebrows and continued to be provocative. Come on. Come on if you dare. Stand up and pull me into your arms. If you don't mind Xiao Lele seeing your strong body, just get up. The two people interacted lovingly without realizing that their fighting was seen by singles as a cruel show of affection. Enyel was very happy to watch it at first, but later she found out that they slapped her face so hard with countless amounts of dog food that her whole body was in bad shape. Enyel let out a cry and ran out crying. There were no tears on his face, he was just pretending. Enyel shouted loudly as he ran. Show affection and die quickly. You want me, a single, to stuff my mouth full of dog food. You are so cruel. Children, it's up to you. This handsome guy has to leave first. Wang Tianyu left the two children behind and turned to leave. The commotion is almost over and you can escape unscathed. If you were a little later, Tanyuj might jump up and hit him. However, I was fed a big mouthful of dog food accidentally, which made me feel very sad. Especially the woman who feeds him dog food is the woman he likes. Hey, hey, hey. They had promised to Qian Yuman away, but now they are feeling a little frustrated seeing how good their relationship is as a couple. Is his plan to exploit the corner of the world about to fail? Wang Tianyu was a little unconvinced, but no matter how he analyzed it, he still felt that it was difficult to break it apart. Perhaps, only death can separate them, and life and death are impossible. Wang Tianyu left, and little Mickey and Ruru stood at the door, looking at Tanyuj. Qian Yuman thought about the scene of the child crying and running away. Now that she was wearing clothes, she was not afraid of being shy. She walked over and held the two little guys in her arms. Baby, do you miss mommy? Miss you mommy. Ruru's eyes were red, she threw herself into Qian Yuman's arms and hugged her neck. Ruru misses mommy every day, and waits for mommy to come back every day, but mommy falls asleep while waiting every day, and she hasn't come back yet, woo woo woo. I miss my mommy so much. I never thought I would miss my mommy so much. Mommy misses you too. Qian Yuman's heart felt warm, as her daughter is a caring little cotton padded jacket, and that's true. How does she look like little Mickey, who has a serious face and just grabs her clothes, looking so cool that he will never admit that he misses mommy too. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1524. Chapter 1524 Perseverance in Pursuit. Tanyuj just watched helplessly as his son and daughter abducted his wife. Abducted. Facts have proved that the human creation plan has been postponed or cancelled. Anyway, one son and one daughter, there is no need for another. Having another child does not seem to be of any benefit to him. Kindness. Correct. That's it. Tanyuj hugged the quilt, closed the door, and went to the bathroom to take a cold shower. There is no need to release the desire, so I can only rely on cold bath water to calm it down. By the time Tanyuj found his woman, she was feeding Ruru. On the side, a man and a woman appeared inexplicably, sitting together. Enyel spoke closely to Wang Tianyuo, who turned sideways with a look of disgust. Brother Tianyuo, just feed me. Look, Ruru has her mother to feed her. Are you a child? Don't you know how to feed yourself? People want you to feed them. Enyel, don't challenge the limit of my tolerance. We are just friends, not boyfriend and girlfriend. Actually, we can become boyfriend and girlfriend at any time, and then we can be legitimate. Wang Tianyuo was speechless. God bless you. Brother, sister, Wang Tianyuo was annoyed to death. Ever since he was seen at the dinner table, he could never get rid of this clingy man. In the past 2 months, I have been surrounded by him every day, and I can't hide. Wang Tianyu stood up and gave up eating. What to eat? It was better to go out to enjoy the cold wind. Brother, God bless you, Enyil did not give up and chased him out. The dinner table was quiet again, with only the sound of little Mickey concentrating on eating and the sound of Jian Yuman feeding Ruru. Tanyuj sat down and looked at the three of them with a faint smile on his lips. It looks like a scene of a family of four getting along, and it's quite loving. Honey, let's go back tomorrow. With so many flies, he thought he could go back and prepare for the wedding. No. The two little guys rejected Tanyuj's proposal. After finally arriving at such a beautiful resort, they naturally wanted to play for a while, so how could they go back? I'm free to do it, it's up to you. Jian Yuman smiled and put herself out of the way. Tanyuj was helpless. It seemed that there was no need to talk about the matter, and he would definitely stay. The two younger ones were very happy and took Jian Yuman around to play. Tanyuj, who was full of resentment, watched helplessly as his son and daughter occupied his wife, and he couldn't even hold her and give her a kiss. It was rare that Wang Tianyu was around, so he went to cultivate a relationship with his younger brother. Who knew that Enyil had been clinging to Wang Tianyu, but in order to avoid Enyil's worries, Wang Tianyu took Tanyuj to a hot spring, and it was there are separate soups for men and women. Until this moment, Wang Tianyu had a moment of peace. Tanyuj looked at Wang Tianyu's relief in amusement. Il is very cute. Why don't you try to develop a relationship with her? Wang Tianyu looked like an idiot. I like your wife, don't you know? If it's so good, why don't you have with her yourself? I don't think it's easy to get married. Il chased me for several years back then, Tanyuj said with a smile. Hearing that Enyil had been chasing Tanyuj for several years, Wang Tianyu looked surprised and frowned slightly. So, this woman couldn't chase you, so she came to chase me. Damn it, how many men has this woman chased? The event to get red envelopes is held for the last time. You can go to the comment area to find the details of the event. It's gone, it's gone. 7 updates today. Are you happy? Your Majesty, it's almost 6 o'clock and I haven't gone to bed yet. I won't be able to sleep until later. I haven't written a single word of the new text. I'm going to write a new book with tears in my eyes. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1525. Chapter 1525 Breaking into the male hot spring pool 1. Tanyuj raised his eyebrows, looked at his brother's unhappy face, and smiled meaningfully. There is a game, it looks like a game. It seems that he has no feelings for Enyil at all. If he and Enyil are paired together, it will not only solve the problem of Wang Tianyu being single for many years, but also reduce the number of flies surrounding his wife. The more I think about it, the more I realize that this idea is completely beneficial and harmless. When I get back later, I will discuss with my wife how to deal with Wang Tianyu and Enyil. Tanyuj and Jian Yuman, the great matchmakers, have been staying together for a long time, and unknowingly they have begun to be matchmakers for the people around them. Regarding this matter, if everyone around him had been single until old age before meeting Jian Yuman again, he wouldn't have had any idea to form a couple for them. But after spending a long time with Jian Yuman, I accidentally developed this habit. God bless. What are you doing? Wang Tianyu didn't even notice it himself, and his tone and mood became worse than before. You are almost 30 years old. It's still a few years away. You see how loving my wife and I are, and you don't envy me. You really don't consider accepting Enyil. Wang Tianyu snorted in disgust. Why should you give me the woman you don't want? Don't think that you and Manman are very affectionate now and I will give up. In your dreams, I want you to be upset because I don't like it. You want to pursue Manman, but it's more because you want to make me unhappy than because you love her. Who said that? Wang Tianyu pursed his lips, wanting to make Tanyuj unhappy was just one of the reasons. In fact, it was more because of her heartache. Because of his strategy, when he saw her in pain, he felt even more painful and uncomfortable, which is why he has been there for so many years. He didn't bother her anymore, allowing her to live a peaceful life for so many years, and he didn't use tricks to find ways to break them up. Because he didn't want to see Qian Yuman hurt again, let alone see her cry. It seems that his love for Qian Yuman is not as much as that of Tanyuj, but it is definitely not like what Tanyuj said, just to make him unhappy. You have no chance. She and I are not divorced, and there is no need to go through the remarriage procedures. When we return to City S, we will hold a wedding. Tanyuj cruelly poured cold water on Wang Tianyu. What? Wang Tianyu stood up angrily, thinking about the past and the whereabouts of the divorce agreement. He suddenly remembered that they had never signed a divorce agreement. The divorce agreement had been lost that day. Damn it, he actually forgot to get it notarized. Don't be unhappy. Even if you had it notarized back then, Qianer and I would still remarry eventually. Our current relationship is not something you can break up. You'd better give up on her and look at the good women around you. He has known Anil for a long time. She is indeed a rare good girl. Now she has been pestering Wang Tianyu, but she is much crazier than when she pestered him. Just this, he didn't plan to tell Anil. I don't need you to mind my own business. Do you think you are still my brother? It's okay if you don't listen to me. Be careful, in a few days, she will be attracted by the other guy. Tanyuj shrugged indifferently. Wang Tianyu glared at Tanyuj unhappily, feeling irritated for no reason. Seduce her away and seduce her away. I am still happy and free. You think I want to see her by my side every day and drive away all the peach blossoms around me? End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1526. Chapter 1526 Breaking into the male hot spring pool 2. Seduce her away and seduce her away. I am still happy and free. You think I want to see her by my side every day and drive away all the peach blossoms around me? Wang Tianyu's tone was obviously insincere. Maybe he didn't realize it himself, but Tanyuj, who majored in psychology, could tell at a glance that Wang Tianyu didn't mean what he said. That's right, Tianyu doesn't have no feelings for Anil at all, and even has a slight affection for Anil. He's just afraid of being pestered by Anil. He hasn't realized yet that he has some affection for Anil. Finding this, Tanyuj felt better. The surrounding love rivals disappeared one by one. There is no better news than this. Of course, Tanyuj doesn't mind giving them a chance. Oh. I will introduce Yi to her boyfriend in a few days. Girls as beautiful as her and with good personalities are very popular now. Why are you telling me this? Wang Tianyu felt inexplicably irritable. He felt that his whole body was so hot. He might have been in the hot spring for too long. Tanyuj glanced at Wang Tianyu and smiled indifferently. It's nothing, I just want to tell you the good news. There will be no annoying Anil around you soon. Soon, she will find a good partner and a good boyfriend. I feel like my family is sinking. Yes, his personality is gentle and considerate, and his family background matches well. Tanyuj, what do you mean? You want to introduce Tang Faishan to Anil. You are not harming her. You know that he always has Lei in his heart, so you are not delaying her. Two lovelorn people, when they come together, may have an unexpected effect. You just know that I won't allow it. You mind me, Tanyuj rolled his eyes and gave him a look that said, "You'd better get out of your way if you're too nosy." Wang Tianyu was speechless. Yes. No matter what happened to him, even if Anil got married to Tang Feishan tomorrow, it would have nothing to do with him. Wang Tianyu climbed ashore, fished out the towel on the ground, and prepared to tie it around his waist. Suddenly, the door of the hot spring pool was pushed open forcefully, and Anil's beautiful face appeared at the door, followed by Anil's voice. "Brother Tianyu, I came to see you and took a mandarin duck bath together." Wang Tianyu paused as he was about to tie the towel, then suddenly raised his head and looked at Anil, looking at her in shock. "This is a men's soup." Anil got his wish when he saw Wang Tianyu without clothes, and happily covered his nose to prevent the nose from bleeding. Of course she knew this was a men's soup place. He just knew about men's soup, so he rushed in and feasted his eyes on it. "I didn't expect to see Wang Tianyu without any clothes." It was such a coincidence that he just landed on the shore, so he had a clear view. As for Tangyuj, she was still soaking in the hot spring pool and had her back to the door, so she could only see her back and nothing else. Wang Tianyu was silent for 10 seconds, and then burst into a roar that shook the world and made people cry. "You woman, get out of here!" She reacted slowly and immediately took a towel to cover his important parts, but she still felt uncomfortable all over because of her burning eyes. I, let's go right now." Anil covered her nose, turned around and ran away. It's not that she is timid, it's that her nose will bleed soon. Wang Tianyu's face after soaking in the hot spring was red and almost bleeding, whether from shyness or from being soaked in the hot spring. "Well done, Xiao Lele. I need a monthly pass." The new book needs a recommendation vote. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1527. Chapter 1527 Sleeping Beauty Plan 1. This woman, he was immediately speechless. He didn't know how to describe it. Now he wanted to grab this woman and beat her up. What is her reason? Isn't she ashamed? "I actually went to men's soup just to feast my eyes." Tanyuj couldn't help laughing silently. He turned around and looked at his younger brother's red neck, naturally knowing that he was shy. "Hey, brother. You have been exposed and your virginity is gone. I think you should go to Yele to compensate for your mental losses. It is best to let her pay with your body." Roll. Wang Tianyu walked out angrily, ready to catch this woman and teach her a lesson. Anil, who flew out wildly, cowardly hid in the female soup. Qian Yuman was already soaking in the female soup. She saw Anil running in with her face flushed and holding her nose. She could vaguely see that her nose was bleeding. "Xiao Lele, was it successful?" "Judging from your nosebleed, it was a success," Qian Yuman said with a smile and nodded with satisfaction. "Successful? I saw Brother Tianyu's place. It's quite big. Wow, I'll be blessed from now on." Anil waved his hands happily. Qian Yuman shook her head helplessly. Anil was indeed led astray by her. The reason why Anil went to the men's bath was because of Qian Yuman's instigation. This girl didn't dare to go at first. After she patted her chest and promised that if she listened to her, they could become a couple, Anil did it. After 10 minutes of mental preparation, I ran to the men's soup next door. Sure enough, the plan was successful, and Anil successfully saw the body. "Xiao Lele, what will you do next?" Qian Yuman continued to give Anil advice, which made her face even redder. "Is this really good? Why is it bad? This is how I defeated Mr. Tang back then." So smart," Anil gave a thumbs up to Qian Yuman, feeling that she had hope of becoming Mrs. Wang. "But if it fails?" "So what if you fail? You have nothing to lose." "Yes. Even if we can't live together, why should we sleep with him once, not 3 times?" The more Anil thought about it, the redder his face became. At night, Wang Tianyu sat on the beach impatiently, blowing the sea breeze and looking at the night scene on the sea. At this time, Qian Yuman came over with 2 bottles of beer in his hand and handed one of the bottles to him. "God bless, what are you doing?" Wang Tianyu took the beer and kept staring at Qian Yuman's beautiful face under the moonlight. "Drink with me." "Good." Qian Yuman sat next to him and glanced at Wang Tianyu. "I know everything about the hot spring pool today." When this matter was mentioned, Wang Tianyu became very angry. This woman really has no shame at all, she actually broke into the men's bath. "I feel very brave." "Qian Yuman, you are still not a woman," Tang Yuj was also there at that time. "It's okay if you do long, you'll get looked at," Qian Yuman responded with a smile. "In fact, I have been muttering in my heart that you don't know anything." Tang Yuj knew that Anil would break in, so he sat with his back to the door. No matter how generous she is, she doesn't want her man to be looked down upon by other women. "I really don't know what you think about having such a generous wife like you. It's not that I didn't watch, it's that you were watched. You're a man, don't look aggrieved. Otherwise, you'll be looked down upon." That's nothing. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1528. Chapter 1528 Sleeping Beauty Plan 2. You're a man, don't look aggrieved. Otherwise, you'll be looked down upon. That's nothing. Wang Tianyu was completely speechless by Qian Yuman and decided to give up on continuing the topic with her. "Here, let's drink." Qian Yuman raised the bottle, clinked it with him with a smile, and drank from it boldly. "Why do you want to drink beer today? Don't you usually like to drink red wine?" Wang Tianyu didn't notice anything wrong and continued to drink beer. "You'll get drunk easily if you drink too much red wine, and beer is suitable for drinking from a bottle, so it feels better." Qian Yuman smiled and tried to clink bottles with her again. "By the way, I'm going to hold a wedding with Mr. Tang. You can be our best man." Qian Yuman has already made up his mind to invite 3 groomsmen and 3 bridesmaids to form a good talking groomsmen and bridesmaids group. "Can I refuse? You know that I like you, but you still ask me to be your best man. It's too cruel." "Pull him down." Qian Yuman waved his hand. "What's so cruel? Look at Mr. Tang and I showing affection, but there's no reaction, and you even lied to me that you like me. You woman." Wang Tianyu was speechless when he was told that. He raised his head and drank all the beer with some displeasure. "I love how you don't believe it. So what if you believe it? Anyway, I am already Mr. Tang's wife, why don't you want me away? Don't make excuses for refusing to be Mr. Tang's best man. I know you are still angry with him for what he did to your family. After all, Uncle Wang, it's been many years and you don't have any relatives around you. You might as well let go of the past and become the good brothers you used to be." Wang Tianyu did not answer her directly, but looked forward with some melancholy. "No matter, after the wine is finished, I have informed you that I want you to be the best man. If you refuse, go and tell Mr. Tang that I am going back." Qian Yuman stood up, patted the sand on her butt, and walked back. Took a few steps and stopped. "Mr. Tang came to see you just now. Please go to his room. It seems there is something important." "I don't want to go." "It's up to you. I'm sure you will go. If you want to refuse to be the best man, why not just go now? I can choose someone else to be my best man tomorrow. After all, we plan to hold the wedding in a month, so time is tight." Qian Yuman left, and Wang Tianyu stood up a little irritably and tugged on his collar. "It's a bit hot." Wang Tianyu pulled his collar uncomfortably and walked towards Tang Yuzhi's villa. When he walked to the door, Wang Tianyu held his hand on the wall uncomfortably and looked at the door with blurred eyes. "What's going on? Why is my body getting hotter and hotter? It's almost autumn, it shouldn't be. Wang Tianyu covered his face depressedly, feeling hot and uncomfortable all over his body. Wang Tianyu unbuttoned a few buttons on his collar, plucked his hair irritably, and his breathing became heavier and heavier. He finally realized that something was wrong. He was definitely not just hot, but more like someone had drugged him. Drug. The beer Qian Yuman just handed him quickly came to mind. Could it be that this woman had given him an aphrodisiac in the beer, and she suddenly thought about it and wanted to seduce him? It's unnecessary. If she wanted, she could be pinned down on the bed without drugging. At this moment, the closed door opened. Before Wang Tianyu could knock on the door opened, and it was opened from the inside. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1529. Chapter 1529 Sleeping Beauty Plan 3. At this moment, the closed door opened. Before Wang Tianyu could knock on the door opened, and it was opened from the inside. Qian Yuman, you. Wang Tianyu had just opened his mouth to scold this woman Qian Yuman, why he drugged her, but someone grabbed her clothes and pulled her inside. Before he could see who it was, he was pulled into the room and left. The door was closed and locked. His head was already a little dizzy, so it didn't take much effort to pull him in and throw him on the bed. Before he could see who it was, a pair of soft hands touched his abdominal muscles and kept touching his chest muscles. His hot body, touched by these magical hands, made him feel even more uncomfortable, and he couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. He finally saw clearly who had pulled her into the room and pressed her on the bed. Not Qian Yuman, but clingy and peaceful. Wang Tianyu's eyes almost popped out of his head, because Anyil was wearing very cool clothes, as if he was not wearing any clothes at all. He looked like he was naked underneath, but in fact he was wearing flesh-colored underwear, and his pajamas were also vaguely visible outside. Black Tool. Anyil, what are you doing? Wang Tianyu roared, but his body was very disobedient and he was unwilling to push the little goblin in front of him away. His body didn't stop at all. Not only did he not push Anyil away, he even grabbed her hand, pressed it tightly against his chest, and rubbed it. Depend on. What's going on? Is the medicine taking effect on him? That dead woman Qian Yuman actually dared to drug him and leave him to other women. How could he do this? At this moment, Wang Tianyu still has sense in his mind, but what his body is doing is completely irrational. His body was getting hotter and hotter, and he was increasingly unable to control his urge to eat Anyil. Anyil didn't dare to move. He sat on the edge with a red face. His trembling hands were held by Wang Tianyu, and he didn't dare to look directly at Wang Tianyu. Although she has always wanted to sleep with Wang Tianyu and be his girlfriend, she is not that bold. Compared with veteran driver Qian Yuman, she is definitely a conservative little woman, and has never been so bold in seducing a man. Even when he was chasing Tang Yuj, he didn't rush over to kiss him. But under Qian Yuman's repeated instigation, she actually ran into the room and wanted to put Wang Tianyu to sleep. That, brother Tianyu, soon, you will become mine. He licked his lips thirstily. Now she actually regrets why she didn't give herself aphrodisiac so that she wouldn't be shy and want to find a place to get in. Having reached this point, it seems that if she doesn't eat Wang Tianyu, she will definitely regret it. What's more, she didn't want to back down at all. Anyil, you dare. Wang Tianyu said threatening words, but his body was different. He turned over and pressed Anyil underneath him. His burning eyes quickly glanced at Anyil's body. Her pajamas had been pushed up to her chest, her cheeks were red, and she was trembling under him. This woman who was annoying to look at became so attractive at this moment. The more I looked at her face, the more I liked her. The more I looked at her, the more I wanted to press her down and ravage her. Wang Tianyu himself is not a serious person. He has bad genes in his bones, and his gentleness is just an illusion on the outside. Emma. Roar. God bless the beasts. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1530. Chapter 1530. A small accident. I think you'd better hide from Tianyu for a while, Tianyu suggested with conscience. No matter. I'm busy now. I have to prepare for our wedding these days. I'm going to see Murong later. Do you want to come with me? Qian Yuman put aside Wang Tianyu's matters. He didn't take it to heart at all. With Anil pestering Wang Tianyu, what else could he do to her? I won't go, Tianyu refused. I'll take you there. I need to go to the company when I get back. During this time, Xiao is recuperating at home and has nothing to do. Xiaoxi is busy alone. The chairman, disappears every day and may be wanted by them. Qian Yuman burst into laughter. Okay. Send me there. Qian Yuman and Tangyuj drove to find Murongye, who was resting at home. Halfway through the car, they were rear-ended. Unluckily, Qian Yuman bumped into the car, causing a bruise on her forehead. Who, driving so carelessly? Qian Yuman got out of the car angrily and glared at the car owner who rear-ended him. The car owner got out of the car, saw the situation, and kept apologizing to Qian Yuman. I'm sorry, I didn't see it, I just looked at my phone and didn't notice you were in front. What are you looking at on your phone while driving? Fortunately, I have nothing to do. Faced with the perpetrator who apologized sincerely, Qian Yuman didn't want to be too difficult. She gave him a few words and took a taxi to leave. Tangyuj also sent someone to handle things here, and he took a taxi to the company himself. Such a trivial matter, neither of us cared about it. When they arrived at Murong's house, Qian Yuman's forehead was still bruised and she didn't dare to rub it. Murong, I'm here. Qian Yuman ran upstairs with a fruit basket in her hand. On the way, she met Murong 11, who was about to go out. Qian Yuman was actually a little embarrassed with this former love rival. Good afternoon, Qian Yuman greeted with a smile. Murong 11 nodded lightly, his eyes falling on the bruised spot on Qian Yuman's forehead. Qian Yuman covered her forehead and answered with a smile. When I came here just now, there was a car accident. Fortunately, I only suffered a bruise on my head. Come to see my brother. Yes. Your brother is in the room. I'll go find him. Lili is in the room, you'd better go there later. Lili is here too. From Murong 11's ambiguous words, there is a high probability that they are making out inside, so it's better to go find them later. I heard you are having a wedding, Murong 11 asked again. Yes. I'm still choosing a date. It should be within the next month or so. When the wedding invitations come out, I will send you one, Qian Yuman said with a smile, with the sweet smile of a happy little woman on her face. Her smile was so hot that it made Murong 11 look elsewhere uncomfortably. The company still has things to do, I'll leave first, you can do it yourself. Murong 11 took the information and left. Qian Yuman looked at her and pouted. Sure enough, it's very awkward for love rivals to meet and chat. Looking at her appearance, I must feel very uncomfortable, especially when I heard that she was getting married to Tangyuj. Never mind. Please be considerate. If it were her, she would definitely be sad too. Qian Yuman walked to the door with a cat's body, and she saw Murongye in the room, lying on the bed, asking Qi Lili to feed her fruit. One more mouthful of mango. Murongye was already well enough to eat by himself, but he wanted Qi Lili to feed him. If he didn't feed him, he would say a lot of love words to disgust Qi Lili, which made her cry and laugh at the same time. very helpless. Shooting the table, the new book activity, get the red envelope, everyone can see the details of the comment area. End of this chapter.